Hey guys, hope you all are having a good day. This is Aleena. In this session, we shall deal with circulatory system. As we all know, the circulatory system, also called the cardiovascular system, is an organ system that permits blood to circulate and transport nutrients, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. to provide nourishment and help in fighting diseases. Let's see exactly how this is done. Starting off with heart. Heart is a muscular pumping organ located slightly left to the center of our chest. Together, the heart and the blood vessels make up the cardiovascular system, which circulates blood and oxygen around the body. The heart is divided into four chambers. These include two on the right, called the right atrium and the right ventricle, and two on the left, called left atrium and left ventricle. This division ensures that the oxygen-rich blood does not mix with the oxygen-poor blood. Our heart has four valves that keep our blood moving in the correct direction by opening only one way and only when they need to. These valves include the tricuspid, mitral, pulmonary, or aortic valve. Each valve have flaps that open and close once during each heartbeat. In the beginning of a pumping cycle, the oxygen per blood, shown here as blue, returns to the heart after circulating throughout our body. The oxygen per blood fills the right atrium and then flows to the right ventricle where it is pumped to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. The lungs refresh the blood with a new supply of oxygen, which comes with the air that we breathe in. The now oxygen rich blood, shown here as red, then returns from the lungs and enters the left atrium. The oxygen rich blood then flows from the left atrium to the left ventricle. The blood is pumped through the main artery that supplies blood to the body, called the aorta, to supply tissues throughout our body with oxygen. Our heart is nourished by blood too. Oxygen-rich blood is delivered by the coronary artery that extends over the surface of heart. A beating heart contracts and relaxes. Contraction is called systole and relaxation is called diastole. During systole, the ventricle contracts, forcing blood into the vessels going into your lungs and body. Our ventricles then relax during diastole and are filled with blood coming from the upper chambers, the left and right atria. Then the cycle starts over again. Now let's see the transpiration in plants. We shall start with the term transpiration. Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the aerial parts of the plants, that is, leaves and stems. By water evaporating out of these parts, mostly leaves, a suction pressure is created which draws up water through the plant. This is called transpirational pull. But what exactly happens in transpiration? Let's start at the roots. Roots have root hairs, giving them lots of surface area for water absorption. Water passes in from the soil by osmosis, passing down the concentration gradient and into the root hair cell cytoplasm, and then onto the xylem vessels. Water moves through the xylem vessels from the root to the stem to the leaf. Transpiration at the leaf causes a transpirational pull, and since water molecules attract each other, water is pulled up through the plant in transpirational stream. As well as the leaves needing water for photosynthesis, water also keeps the cells turgid, which supports the plant. Inside the leaves, water is drawn out of the xylem cells to replace the water lost through transpiration because of the cohesive nature of water, which also pulls the water through the plant. As water leaves the xylem and moves into the leaf, it again pulls more water molecules behind it. But it isn't just about water. The transpirational stream also transports mineral ions that are dissolved in water from roots to leaves. Now we know how water moves up the xylem with some minerals dissolved in water, and we know that sugar moves up and down in the phloem. Now all that's left to discover is exactly how phloem works. We have transpirational stream and transpirational pull in the xylem. There are no such forces causing translocation, so something different must happen in phloem. Phloem uses active transport to transport food nutrients like glucose made in the leaves by photosynthesis. Glucose is converted into sucrose in the leaves, which then enters the phloem vessels as two amino acids. They then need to be transported around the plant to every single cell. The areas in plants where the sucrose is made is called the sources, and where they are delivered are called sinks. The phloem uses active transport because the sucrose moves against its concentration gradient from the lower concentration where it is made to a higher concentration in the phloem cells. Phloem tubes also contain sieve tube plates where the fluid travels through and the companion cells providing safety of elements with the energy they need for active transports. Now we'll be seeing an animation to understand the path of travel of food, minerals and water in plants. As the xylem vessels of roots are in contact with soil, it actively absorbs the water ions. When root is in contact with soil, soil has more concentration of water and root has less concentration. Obviously, a difference in concentration of ions is present between the root and soil. To balance the difference in water ions between roots and soil, water moves into the roots, which means a steadily or continuous movement of water into the xylem of roots, which creates column of water steadily pushing upwards. In xylem, the flow of water is bulk flow and the negative pressure facilitate movement of water and minerals into roots. Transpiration is nothing but evaporation of water molecules from stomata to leaves into the atmosphere. Stomata are the guard cells. As we already know, transpiration is the loss of water in the form of vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. The loss of water molecules or evaporation of water molecules through leaves create suction or root pressure pulling water upwards through xylem cells of roots. When it comes to phloem, the food that is synthesized in photosynthesis are soluble products like sucrose and nutrients, carbohydrates, etc. The transport of these soluble products to photosynthesis is called translocation. It can be done by using the energy in the form of ATP produced by photosynthesis. Phloem also transport amino acid and other substances. These are especially transported to fruits and seeds for storage and food transported to roots for the requirement of energy in the process of absorption of water from soil to roots. Sucrose is transferred into phloem by using energy from ATP molecules leads to increase the osmotic pressure of tissues and water moves into phloem and materials in the phloem to tissues which have less pressure. For example, in the spring, sugar stored in the root or stem tissue would be transported to the buds where energy needs to grow.